Oh, what's the topic for today? It was
Turmoil of transition.
turmoil transition.
Yeah, we're not talking about transgender folk.
No.
We're talking about the transition from
Military service.
to sort of a civilian.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's any true transition back to being a civilian.
No, not really. Like,
And the Army doesn't do a good job of deprogramming us. I mean, when I got out, all they did was they told me how to write a resume, how to look on a newspaper and Google for jobs, and then they said, good luck.
Yeah, I don't.
That's not really welcome back to society.
Yeah, they did that for us too, but.
Because if I say, hey, fuckface, and I give you a knife hand, that works in the military.
It does.
But as soon as you get in the corporate environment,
yeah.
You know, out in the real world, then it's completely different.
Well, like after you got out, you got a job
in the corporate environment. Yeah.
Me, I went to college, so I had a whole not Happy Gilmore. Was it the one where he has to graduate grade school again?
Oh. Yeah, that's Happy, isn't it?
No, Happy is the one is the golf one.
Oh yeah, hang on. Adam Sandler, and he has to go back to elementary school.
Yeah,
5th grade, right?
He's like.
And he ends up falling in love with the teacher.
He's a rich kid, but
yeah.
in order to get his inheritance, he has to actually.
Oh, then and his grandma falls on hard times or whatever, and he has to go. No, that was Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
When he has to save grandma's house. Wow, Adam Sandler's movies are all the same.
Almost, yeah.
Oh, what was that movie? I'm gonna be a millennial about it.
Yeah. I mean, this is the one where the famous line, "I want to touch the hiney," when he was talking about the teacher.
I want to touch the hiney.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler movies. Switch. He's been doing some stuff on Netflix recently, and Billy Madison. But some of his movies on Netflix are not like his newer stuff is not that good.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, like, should I watch some of his older stuff? And I don't really want to tarnish. You know, when you look back, like nostalgia can be a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I don't want to look back and be like, oh, it was a terrible movie.
I think the last movie that I liked him in is Zohan, when he was the
No. I feel no pain. I tell you, I feel no pain.
I think that was the last movie that I could stand
his antics.
Yeah, his. In every movie, you know. So.
I mean, that's a problem with a lot of actors today too. Is they get like typecast, and they play like the same role. Like I think Jennifer Lawrence is typecast. She doesn't really branch out much.
She kind of went up. I don't know, that Horrible Bosses movie. Have you seen that?
Yeah, Horrible Bosses. Yeah.
Where she's one of the horrible bosses. She's like always sexually harassing.
No, that was Jennifer Aniston.
Wait, who are you talking about?
Jennifer Lawrence. She did Hunger Games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's kind of stuck in that female heroine trope.
Yeah, but she also took a leave of absence from Hollywood for a year or two.
Yeah, she did.
She was going to try and help America's political. I don't know. She's going to do something.
There was another actress that she was up in trying to fight the pipeline up north.
Yeah.
And she ended up getting arrested and all that, and they made a big deal about her.
What's funny is, when it came to that pipeline, like, the pipeline is a lot safer than anything else.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, if they have say they have a spill, there's a lot more oil coming through the pipeline, a lot faster than a train or a what do you call it? Some big rig, some truck, right?
Yeah. That's fair.
But there's really no other moving parts unless there's a seal break or you know, the earth, earth shifts.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the valid argument is if that pipeline does rupture, it's underneath the only freshwater source.
Yeah.
I think that's a valid concern to have.
It is.
But I did see.
Wasn't it upstream too? So
yeah, so it affected the whole entire supply.
Yeah.
And I did see like they hired like PMCs and whatnot to pressure the people, which I don't know if you have a bunch of hippies and it's up north. I think it was Montana.
But
Right?
you know what?
I would have just waited them out in the winter. They can't hang out in the winter.
Did you ever see the spot where they were camping out at?
Mhm.
Did you ever see it after they left?
No, did they destroy it?
Yeah, like I thought
That's-
you're all about the environment.
That's ironic.
It looked like a dump,
Oh man.
like a garbage dump.
If only they had some, I don't know, like people who understood how to not leave trash behind.
Yeah, hands across the
Hands across
the
America.
prairie. Yeah.
That was a good movement. Hands across America. Did we ever make the chain?
Bowen transitioning out of the army
Yeah.
into civilian life.
Or sort of something? Because I don't think, especially if you've deployed, well, fuck that. If you've completed basic, right, you've gone through the mental change.
Yeah.
And there's no going back. That is our red pill, so to speak. When you take that red pill, you can't go back. You can't just wake back up in your little matrix pod and covered in goo and all warm and happy and taste the steak.
Yeah. I think it's more of a culture shift in a person's mentality and
Mhm.
personality, you know? I mean, some people resist and they're kind of like those douches that are in the unit, you know?
Yeah.
They resist and they still, it's funny because, you know, they still maintain their individuality and,
Even though it's like unlimited.
yeah,
But I think that in the military it's magnified. Like that person tries to maintain being an individual, but they're really not. You know.
yeah, yeah,
It's just they're not 100% the cookie cutter. They are that government stamped close enough.
yeah,
You know. And then when you get out, for me, I never became so proud of the unit because before I was always like hush hush, keep it quiet, don't talk about anything.
Yeah.
Now that I'm out, I'm like, yeah, fuck you, man, you didn't do shit.
you
You know, so it's kind of weird.
yeah. Like me, I don't know. I took OPSEC seriously, and that's why I don't
Yeah.
have the pictures.
Yeah,
that-
I
that
took it very serious too.
That I wish I had. I mean, Jesus.
I still took pictures because I mean I gotta look good, right?
What?
I'm an aviator. My hair was on fleek, bro. Is that still a thing, on fleek?
Honestly, I think.
Because that's another thing too. Is like, especially in our case, like we deployed often.
Yeah.
You know, even TDYs, to me felt like deployments because you just wasn't home, and so like stuff would be going on back home with your family, but yet you were going off and coming back at different points in time now, and it's just like things change and you're like, what the fuck is going
Yeah.
on? And there was never any sort of like brace for the changes when you get back.
Yeah.
And you know, I did a little over a decade, and when I went home to Florida, I was like looking around, like, of course things are gonna change.
Yeah.
But holy fuck, the changes, man.
Well, for me, like, I didn't go back home. You know, I stayed here, but being from freaking Milwaukee, Wisconsin, it was weird. I saw the changes, but I saw the changes throughout my 10 year or 12 years in the Army. Every time I went home on leave,
Yeah,
I'd
you
see
get these little glimpses.
yeah, like, oh, that's they do that, or you know, whatever. But right now, when I go on post, it's
Yeah,
where I
even
see-
post is changing.
Well, it's a shift in the culture
Yeah.
because the newer generation are starting to come in and
And fuck shit up.
yeah,
Well, and that's the other thing too, is like culture shifting. Like, I remember just being baffled on one hand, like, how the fuck are we the greatest fighting force in the world? And on the other hand, I'm like, how the fuck are these people complaining about stupid shit in America? Like,
yeah,
it seems like the stuff we go through is just, we as veterans have a hard time connecting with civilians who complain about the stupidest shit in the world.
but yeah, it's almost like because the difference between military and civilian is like military, you got your stuff paid for, and if you're not a complete fuck up, you got a guaranteed paycheck every month, you know.
Except for the couple times they had the government shut down.
Yeah, but then I mean, what? Some of the banks, some of the credit
Yeah, like
unions-
USA was dope. They kept paying me.
Yeah, because they know
And
they-
people talk bad about USA, but I've, to this day, over a decade, I've yet to have a bad experience with them.
Yeah.
Hey, they're not a sponsor, but if USA wants to sponsor it,
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's a veteran program
it's
here.
a very nice sponsor.
Yeah.
I have to build a new.
I mean,
Oh,
shit.
it fell
It's-
down
Yeah,
again.
Loki's here today. That's gonna be a running joke now.
Everything that happens
Everything
is
that just
wrong.
falls is fucking lucky.
Yeah, like if the episode before this one, if the audio was kind of crappy, we switched.
Boards.
Yeah, we switched mixers, so I'm trying to get everything set back up to what I had before because the
Yeah.
audio was really good. Because that's how I do all my voiceovers, my
Mhm.
videos with. But I'm actually recording straight to the computer instead of recording on a
Yeah, on a
recorder.
different device.
Yeah.
Trying to streamline the process.
Yeah. But like getting out of the Army, for me, it was kind of surreal because I was dealing with a lot of stuff when I got out, you know,
Sure.
with the arm and everything, and not knowing what I'm going to do. But I think the moment that hit me the hardest was when, like, my mom started getting sick, and I could just pack up
And go.
and go without anyone's permission.
Yeah.
And I felt weird going. I felt like, oh, I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
I didn't
There's
call
always that,
everybody.
oh, do I need to sign out?
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, she's like, you're not in anymore. You don't have to, you don't have to go on leave. You can just go. And it's,
Even still now, like, I'll just hang out at the house most of the day, and I'll be like, still waiting on a call. Like,
Yeah.
once showtime, oh, fuck, you know? And then it's been a year, and
yeah, like when I see like a C-17
yeah.
come flying by, I check my phone. I'm like, oh, I've been off that for a long
I
time.
just recently stopped getting those text messages from work.
I was getting them for like 2 years after I got
Yeah.
out, dude. And I'm like, you sure you wanna be sending me this?
Yeah, I was like, I'm not supposed to know these anymore.
Yeah, like I got the text when they got Bin Laden.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember that day.
was sitting at what do you call it, my White's house,
Mhm.
just chilling. All of a sudden, everyone's beeper goes off. Not beeper, sorry. That's old school.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had the beeper overseas,
Yeah,
but yeah, I got the message. I was like, all right.
yeah.
A little jealous, but all right.
Mm. Yeah, I have mixed views on that.
Yeah, a lot of people say,
Tangent.
we'd have to get on tinfoil on this one.
Yeah. I'll save that for.
Yeah, we should save that for another one. Yeah, tinfoil.
But yeah, again, that was weird. Like, because all my friends at the time were all still in the regiment.
Yeah.
Like, I had a couple of dudes I lived with
Mhm.
before I got out, you know. And after I got out, they stayed. You know, they lived here still, whatever. It was cool. Everyone was in the regiment. Then everyone started leaving,
Yeah, mass exodus.
and then a couple of friends died.
Yep.
3, you know, while I was out, so that was kind of tough.
And that's hard because I've already lost 2 people, right? And I'm out.
Yeah.
But I get notified now via the newspaper. Or, you know, and luckily, because I am friends with a lot of dudes in regiment still,
Yeah.
like Facebook, I got the message there too. And that's one of the things as you get out, you have to realize, like, your friends that are still in, you know, you're going to lose them either to work or to PCS or, God forbid, they die, right?
And you can stay in touch, but
Yeah, you stay in touch, but
Yeah.
you're not as close anymore.
Yeah.
And then when you get out, the ones that get out, you still lose touch because everybody goes home, and then, you know, they're susceptible to death more so because driving on the roads is way more dangerous than
Mhm.
going to the combat. And so, like, I lost a friend that way too. You just gotta realize, like, I think veterans disproportionately to civilians lose friends more.
But I also think that like when you transition out of the military, and I think for me it was like almost a sense of, why is this happening?
Yeah.
We're not over there. We're not you know, we're not physically. I'm not physically at war. I'm not deployed with my
Right, 'cause-
friends. That's where I expected to see that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And then with
Mhm.
practically all of them, all the deaths, you know, happening back at home, that was kind of weird.
It is weird. And it's that's what infuriates me too, is like all that shit we survive.
Yeah.
And that's what kills them, you know? It's like,
Well, like the one that hit me the hardest was my friend Tucker, Daryl.
yeah.
I called him my brother practically because he was another mixed dude. Like, we got together, it was like Wonder Twin Powers, activate.
Yeah.
And he would be form of black guy, and I'd be form of white guy, because he was like more.
He was a little darker?
No, like, just. He would take my black half, and I would take his
okay.
white half, so
you guys would be 1-on-1
Yeah.
instead of 50-50?
Yeah. So it was a little joke, but I remember the night before he passed, or the night that he did pass, I was joking with him. We ribbed each other back and forth on Facebook, Messenger, just having fun, laughing. And then the next morning I get up and I'm making my coffee, and my wife comes down and is like, isn't that terrible what happened? I was like, huh?
What are you talking about? Yeah.
Man, Daryl died. I'm like, what? But I looked at her, dead in face, I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And she's like I saw her face get completely serious, like she's
She's
like,
like,
oh
oh,
shit,
fuck, yeah.
You didn't know? You didn't see it? It's like, no, I didn't check my phone. And then I checked my phone, and that night that morning you didn't wake up.
Yeah, and that's another sad realization too, is like, I've heard the statistic, right, that 22 veterans a day. And I think the VA is partial to blame. Because every time I go to an appointment, they're like, the nurse will ask you if she's taking your vitals. Do you feel suicidal?
Yeah.
You know?
I remember when they started.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
No, bitch. I'm here for my knee hurts. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna commit suicide over that. And then the doctor comes in like, you feeling suicidal? It's like, no.
Yeah.
And
That's because they're
you know,
taking
like,
a lot of heat for all
they
the-
are. Because, I didn't even think about this, but I remember now going back to, like, it was either basic or AIT, they gave us a anti-suicide brief. And that was the first time ever in my life I went, this is an option for life? Like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
And they were going over different ways to do it. And I was like, oh, okay. I'll write that one down in case I need it.
That's weird.
Right? Like, I think we did it to ourselves in a sense, And speaking of the VA, I gotta give props to the Nashville VA right now. Because when I went down to West Palm with that job, and it was just, West Palm's all assed up, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Kanye would be proud though, there's only 12 floors.
No 13th floor.
No 13th floor.
You gotta worry about that.
But it took me damn near 6 months to get a doctor's
Oh
appointment.
yeah, dude. Like, back when I got out, the VA in Nashville was shit.
Yeah, I got seen, because when I was getting put out, I was like, hey, the VA dude was like, yeah, sign up now for your appointment. I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So I did it, but I had an appointment like 2 weeks after getting out.
How long did you wait? Because when I got out, I remember, like, I would get, with my injuries and everything, like, I had more appointments because I was seeing more different
More doctors, yeah. I had like 6 different doctors I was seeing initially.
Yeah, I would go to, like, occupational therapy, physical
Yeah.
therapy, go to, like, the plastic surgeons, and
I didn't see that one.
yeah. Go to just the nerve surgeon stuff, just general
Yeah.
stuff because of all the crap. And I remember one of the first appointments I had back then. Like, my wife I heavily relied on her for like
For everything?
yeah. So she would always come with me to my appointments because well, she's a nurse. She can talk to another doctor or talk to other nurses and tell them more specifically about what's
She
wrong.
speaks the language.
Yeah. But I remember getting an appointment like for like 9:50. So we'd get there at like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
But the way they were like scheduling appointments, they scheduled like 20 veterans for the same time.
And see which one shows up.
We all showed up. Everybody, that waiting room was packed, standing room
Was it
only.
like the appointments for the rest of the day?
The whole day.
Wow.
My appointment was for like 9:30, 9:50. We didn't get seen until 4:30 in the afternoon.
My experience with the VA
That was bad.
in Nashville, I only had to wait for a few things. One of them was like drawing blood, because that was actually oddly comforting when I was like in processing the VA for the first time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this feels normal, I gotta go to this doctor, go to this place, go here.
Yeah.
I'm pissing this cup, bleed here. Okay, this feels normal. And this is a VA tale. Tales from the VA, right? This Vietnam vet was sitting down next to me in the waiting room waiting for our numbers to call. And he says, hey, you one of them desert veterans? I was like, what do you I guess? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan. He goes, and that's what I thought. You look like one of the desert veterans. I was like, okay.
Part 2.
Yeah, I was like,
Part 2.
he goes, man, what a crazy war that was, huh? Desert Storm. I was like, no, dude, I'm
Yeah.
not that old. That's
Yeah.
that's my uncle. You know, like he fought in Desert Storm, and he's like, oh, I don't understand what you mean. I'm like, the war's been going on for like the last 15 years. That's the one I was a part of.
Remember, we looked it up. It's not really a war.
Oh yeah, it's a conflict. That's right, because Congress never officially declared war.
Yeah.
But and after I finished that conversation, this other Vietnam vet, and I love Vietnam vets just for this reason right here, because there's no smoking in hospitals, right?
Yeah.
Well, he pulls out a cigarette and lights it up, and he stands up and he goes, "Good fucking job, VA. I've been waiting here for an hour." And he walks out smoking. It's like, that's a bad motherfucker, dude.
Just doesn't care. Sick of it.
Yeah, no fucks given.
Yeah.
That's Vietnam. And I did have one of them tell me that he felt that our generation is going to be the next Vietnam when we're coming home, especially due to went to Iraq more so than Afghanistan. 'Cause that kind of puts me in that boat, because I went to Iraq 6 times, you know.
Yeah.
I went to Afghanistan once.
I went to Afghanistan. I went to Iraq more than I went to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
But if I could choose, I would have gone to Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like Iraq.
Iraq was, I don't know. Iraq to me felt more like fish in a barrel than Afghanistan. Afghanistan felt like there was a little more hunting,
Yeah.
a little more fight to them there.
Yeah.
Shout out to all my Afghanis, you know.
That's exactly what came to my mind. Man.
No, I mean, I think it's healthy to have a respect for an adversary that you were with, you know.
Yeah, and I almost respect like
I respect the fuck out of them for putting up that fight, man.
that, and even like on downtime, like say you go to like Hajimar,
Yeah.
like some of the stuff that they make out of
Craftsman.
out of brass that they picked up from our range.
Our range, yeah.
You know, like they made a brass freaking like a belly dancer's bikini.
Yeah, the belly dancer stuff, yeah.
And I was pretty impressed. I was like, that's pretty good.
And it's actually kind of really a big turn on, you know.
And then
It's made of bullet brass.
Yeah, and then like the guy's like, you want to buy for?
You want to buy for your good?
Bro?
Yeah.
I'm like no. And then I was with another dude, Riley.
Yeah.
You want to buy for your friend? I'm like,
No,
dude.
We are American.
Then I learned about the whole, Afghani boy thing.
Yeah.
But
That was one thing
Different culture.
in Iraq. It didn't seem like that big of a deal to be clean shaven. But in
Yeah.
Afghanistan, if you're clean shaven, they were eyeing you up and down. Oh my god.
yeah. In Afghanistan, it was crazy. We would pay them a detail, each person like $10 a day
Mm-hmm.
to clean up our compound, and that $10 like tripled or quadrupled their annual income.
Wow, that's sad.
Gives you perspective on.
I had that same perspective when I went to Colombia.
Yeah.
You know, just how far that American dollar stretched blew my mind.
Yeah, you like, I remember the tales, and I was actually thinking about doing this, being an aircraft mechanic, because, that was our job. When we get out, we can literally just go right into working on helicopters. Now,
You can.
to get the better jobs, you need to have your AMP and all
Sure,
that stuff,
yeah.
but you can be just a general mechanic.
Right, as long as they're a repair station.
Yeah.
If you're following FAA regulations.
Well, these are the ones down Hondo. Others.
Yeah, Hondo. Yeah.
Those guys, those contractors that are the mechanics,
Yeah.
living like kings.
Yeah, because it stretches so fucking far there.
Yeah, like they get like a mansion with like land, and they have servants, and like kind of like hearing all that.
It's like, that sounds like a
Kinda
good
creepy.
idea.
Yeah, but it's kind like for me,
Do you know how quick I want a compound myself.
yeah, but like to have like people that are doing stuff like cleaning your house and doing your laundry.
Yeah. I mean, that part weirds me out a little.
Yeah.
But it's just where I came from. I'm a self-made man, so to
Yeah.
speak. I'm not used to other people doing my shit.
Yeah. That was like a while ago when my wife was working that other job.
Yeah.
That we had someone that came and would help
Assist.
clean. Yeah. And you're like,
Who the fuck is
what
this?
is that? I'm like,
You got a side bitch too?
like I didn't.
I was like, damn.
Like I didn't even want to say what she was because
Yeah.
I felt bad.
You felt better than me?
No.
No, I get it, yeah.
Like I felt almost like I was ashamed, like I shouldn't.
Yeah, you shouldn't have this yet or something?
Yeah, no, not yet. I just shouldn't have it. I should be able to do it myself.
Oh, yeah. Where were we at?
Talk
about the
about
transition, right?
Yeah.
We got to... Oh, yeah, we were on that whole...
Not Happy Gilmore. What
No,
was
it was
it?
Billy Madison.
Billy Madison. Yeah, like that's where I got the big, like, shock factor after being able to go wherever I want without
Yeah.
filling out a leaf form and telling somebody. It was college.
Yeah, now that I'm going to college, I feel like I am Billy Madison a little bit.
You know,
Like, I'm older than some of the professors sometimes.
or yeah, I was a little bit older than one of my instructors, and the other ones were just older people.
Yeah.
Like the lady that taught English.
She taught English?
Yeah. So I just what is it? Yeah, it was the fact that I was older than all the kids that were going through, but it was also just the culture thing. Again, because they didn't get me and I didn't get them.
Right, and
at all.
it was compounded by the fact that you were a combat veteran, you know?
Yeah.
Because like I said earlier, some of the things that civilians complain about, most military people just go, what the fuck are you crying for?
Oh yeah.
Like figure out the problem, find a solution, and move out. Like,
I forget what it was. What was it? There was some issue that a couple of the girls were having, and I just looked at the instructor. I was like, serious?
yeah,
And like the instructor was like,
just be quiet, don't say
yeah. And I had to laugh. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and I do feel I use humor as a way to get through most stuff.
Yeah.
And I just hope people don't feel like I'm laughing at them.
No.
Because I don't want them to know I am.
Like me. Oh man, that's gonna look so crappy.
What?
Just the panels.
The panels falling down.
See, that's why we need Patreon support.
We also need an intern to come in here and fix this shit.
But we need to be able to pay that person because.
No, interns don't get paid.
Yeah.
It's a non-paid internship with potential stock options in the future.
Yeah, I could probably. I don't know. Because all we need is someone to.
Yeah, we do need someone who's good at like social media, because that's not me or you.
I mean, I do it just because.
Yeah, you're better at social media than me.
But I don't know. Like I don't Twitter.
Yeah.
Never saw the using it. I was like, what is this Twitter thing? Why is it a thing?
It's kind of like you can text message anybody.
Yeah, you can text, or anyone can
But
search
anyone can
for your
search and
text.
comment on it and
Yeah.
resend.
Not anymore. Now you
You can
block,
hide them.
block them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can tweet at you all day and
Just be like,
you
nah,
wouldn't know.
I got my header blockers on.
See, it's like I feel you can hear me better, or I'm getting better sound,
Yeah.
but I hear the pops
The pops,
and
crackles. You got the
Yeah.
beeps
Like you're over here and I hear you really good.
really well.
And it's like I gotta be right here.
Yeah, to get the same.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
that's what's weird.
The better microphone.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's right. I'll come back next time. It'll be switched.
I got the better one.
I got the
Well,
better one.
see, you sounded more far away yesterday
Yeah.
than
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Say it right. We got programs that teach us words and syllables.
Salop. Shut up.
Well, I'm on that Kanye program, man. We got education systems now.
Ain't nobody taught us.
That's right. I said it.
What was the hardest thing for you?
Getting out.
Yeah.
One of the hardest transitions was, you could basically tell anybody anything at work, right? When I was in the soldiers, when I was with my soldiers,
Yeah.
I could just go up to any dude and be like, hey, I'm having problems, right? Everybody was, whether you really hated the guy or not, didn't matter, because like it was a different kind of hatred.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a full-fledged I fucking hate you, you should die. Like we both would go get in a helicopter and fly,
Yeah.
So it's just unique. And when you leave that environment, and you're talking to a coworker like, hey dude, I'm having problems with this, and this, I feel like this guy's a fuck up because of this one. And then next thing you know, your boss is like, hey, did you say this? Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck, dude? Where did that confidence go?
Yeah.
So that whole camaraderie has changed.
Well, I think it's a culture thing. Like.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people in the civilian world it's definitely dog eat dog. Like,
Yeah.
I will backstab anybody to get ahead, and I never looked at it that way. Like, if
Well,
I'm having problems, I need to talk to somebody about it. And I need clarification because it was very muddy first getting out.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out, what policies kind of carry over from the military. Because there's some lap over or carryover from military
Yeah.
environment. Like SHARP is a program that kind of carries over, except in the civilian world, it's like on steroids.
Yeah, and I never had to deal with Sharp.
Yeah, like I thought it was bad in the military, but once you get into the corporate environment, it's even worse with the
Yeah.
SHARP. You know how you have like those bad NCOs who just yell at you like, do this fuck face.
Yeah.
It was different in the military. When you get to the civilian world, some of these managers feel like they're untouchable because it takes like an act of Congress to get them fired, which is weird. Like there's so much, I guess there's like laws that prevent people from getting fired.
Yeah.
But when we came from regiment, if a dude was a fuck up and really fucked up, then we would just punch him off, like go back to the regular army
Yeah.
and let them handle it with you. And then if you stay, you stay. If not, then you're just out of the army. But so that, to me, that whole camaraderie loss was a huge problem. And then if you try to talk to your military buddies, they're not gonna have that correlation. That was like,
Yeah.
they're like, why is it that way? And it's like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Well,
So it's difficult.
I like to think of it as like, in the Army, you're responsible for yourself,
Yeah.
and non-deployed and non-NCO, when I say you're low enlisted, whatever, you're...
Yeah, we had to say junior enlisted. We had to stop saying lower enlisted because of
Really?
yeah, people were getting offended as the newer generation was coming in.
You can kick rocks, man.
Yeah, that's another thing too, is like this newer generation got offended at the fact that they were being called private. Like, that is your military title.
Yeah. It's a rank.
Yeah, like, you're a private until you're a specialist or corporal, and then you're an NCO, like, or I guess a corporal is an NCO, but
Yeah.
a junior NCO just doesn't get paid for the bullshit. So it's like,
Gets all the bullshit.
it gets all the bullshit, doesn't get paid for, yeah. That's a whole other story. I know a guy that got put a corporal in aviation, and he got shit on hard, all because he refused to go to the board.
Yeah.
So they made him a corporal.
Oh, yeah.
So they like, well, you're already doing it now, anyways. Might as well go get paid. And that's
Yeah.
what it took to get him
To go to the board.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, I remember my junior enlisted days where I refused the board because I just wanted to fly, and I saw the track
Yeah.
of the guys that would
Yeah, if you get promoted, you stop flying.
stop flying and you start doing more counseling.
You start doing more admin stuff, especially at the E6 level. That's when it's like you fly just the bare minimum.
Yeah.
You go on maybe one rotation a year, maybe.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
then, I stopped flying, so I'm like, yeah, stop flying.
And then now you might as well paper chase, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't paper chase. I just like
That's what I
training
would say, yeah.
and actually teaching the newer generation on how to be a proper mechanic and not be a douchebag.
Well, it's tough when they're coming out of Green Platoon and they're told like their shit doesn't stink. You know?
Also,
Green Platoon does a good job of like building everybody up, and so they show up out of Green Platoon being all cocky and arrogant.
Well,
and you're
that's what that day's for.
Yeah.
Is another wake up call.
Yeah.
That's what we got.
that's what I got too. It's like, oh nice dog around, fuck you, man. And you're like, all right, here we go. Front
Yeah.
back goes. What the fuck for?
We
Go find motivation. Motivation was a brass log.
when we graduated, and it was supposed to be like family, like you show the family the hangar and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then like the next day is when
The shit
re-
hits the fan.
yeah, the real world kicks in. Well, they forgot. It was the day after. They got too anxious,
Yeah.
so they did it right in front of their parents.
This is what your kid's involved in.
Yeah. Then they not just dumped out all the garbage cans. Like they went and got stuff. They went and got POL and they trashed the office. We had to clean it up. So then when my parents were there till like 9 o'clock and they're like, oh, we can go back to our hotel. I'm like, I'm sorry, I did not know this was gonna happen. And then I got told like the boss came back, he's like, man, that's fucked up.
Yeah, I should have waited.
And he's like, yeah, it should have been tomorrow, but you know, it's here now, so you guys gotta clean it up.
We had 2 new guys show up, and my first one at the time thought it would be funny if we gave them a short table, because we had this table that was foldable,
Yeah.
and also the legs would fold in, so it was like tall enough for 5th graders to sit at and have lunch.
So like at lunchtime they'd have to sit at the small
Yeah,
table.
they had it.
Yeah.
I mean, now they call that hazing, but we call that character building now.
Exactly.
And we had this game we called PAX Pickup. We took the tiny little tail rotor washers that were really fucking hard to pick up. We'd take 15, right? You throw them on the floor and then make them do squats. And they have to announce how many guys are coming on board because they're the help counter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of hazing, but it's working out their legs, which you're going to need as a crew chief, right? And then it's making sure that while they're being stressed out, they're keeping accountability of all their passengers coming on board and as they're leaving.
Yeah.
And
We did that too.
we never had people miscount
No.
while I was there.
We did the farmer's walk
Yeah.
all the way to the end of the airfield, or to the grass,
Yeah.
from the hangar to the grass and back with 50-pound weights in each hand.
It's a good time.
And every time you dropped it, you had to do 20 or 25 push-ups. And
Yeah.
The guys that weren't like, I was able to go all the way to the grass, do my 25 push-ups, and come back without stopping. But the smaller guys that didn't have
Yeah, the weight.
sucked for them. But they take like 10 steps and put the weights down.
Yeah.
The weights for the little bird.
It wasn't too long ago. They started doing crew chief of the quarter bullshit. So we had the soldier of the quarter, right? Like this regular army bullshit started infiltrating in the regiment.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking stupid because in the 2nd Battalion was 1 Black Hawk company and then 2 Chinooks. So there was 2 Chinook guys competing against the Black Hawk guy every month for crew chief of the month or crew chief of the quarter, whatever it decided to be. And all the tasks were not anything that a Black Hawk guy would do.
Really?
And like, why would I hook up nozzles to a Chinook for a fat cow? You know, and then like, under no circumstances will I ever build a minigun.
No.
That's armament's job, you know, like, it didn't make sense to me. And then,
I mean, if you know how to do it, you can
yeah,
troubleshoot
you can,
easier. But
troubleshooting it should be what it is, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, they had a DC system, we had an AC system, so there's a little bit of difference, but not much. Just the electrical current going through it. And then they would have them take a written, basically no notice -10 test.
Yeah.
Well, the Chinook -10 isn't the same as Black Hawk -10, so what the fuck?
Why are you guys taking a Chinook?
That's
Because
the
you're,
way- that's
cause
what
you're
they
in
were
second?
doing. Yeah, I was in 2nd for a little while. Second was, oh man, it was like ass backwards town. Like, remember Stranger Things when they go into the dark, upside down world?
Upside
That
down.
is 2nd Battalion.
It's so funny that there's cultures, like
Subcultures within.
like
Yeah.
you got the regiment, that's its own culture.
Mhm.
Then each battalion has its own culture. Then each company in the battalion has its
Right.
own culture. Then each team or squad
Or
within,
platoon, yeah.
they have their own.
And speaking of that, when I went to airborne school, I was in 3rd Battalion at the time, and I went with another 3rd Battalion cat. We were hanging out, and we were the only 2 motherfuckers. Like, we had this idea. We were both E4s. I was E3 still at the time, I think. I might have been E4. I don't remember. But we looked around and we noticed that there was kids coming out of AIT that didn't have patches. Well, what did we train to do? Go incognito, blend in, right? So we get douchebag high and tight cuts. They weren't really high and tights, they were just, I kept mine shaved to kind of like we keep yours.
Yeah.
And he cut his to a high and tight. And we had no patches. We're just sitting down in the grass. Everybody else is on this thin little sidewalk. There's 400 or 500 people trying to stay on like a sidewalk that won't hold it. You know, like they're out in the street, and
Yeah.
and this dude walks up and he's got a patch, regiment patch on his left shoulder, and he goes, "What battalion are you guys with?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, 500 people standing around. And you two are the only ones sitting down in the grass. We're like, "Oh fuck, we gave ourselves away." We're like,
That's
"Yeah,
funny.
we're 3rd battalion." He's like, "Oh, I'm 4th battalion." He sits down and takes his hat off. I was like, "Yeah, we should take our hats off." You know,
Yeah.
like, fuck, live it up, dude.
Yeah.
And it was so great because nobody knew we were a regiment because there was so many people at airborne school that they didn't really have a chance to find out the regiment and haze us. And, the one sergeant airborne, when he found out I was a Night Stalker, he was like, "Oh, okay," and like instantly boosted my respect or whatever. But because when I went to air assault school here at Fort Campbell,
Yeah.
man, they found out I was a regiment. They started playing fuck games. Well, I played them right back because I was a SEER school graduate and they weren't.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. I turned the entire class against one instructor because he would be like, "All right, we're gonna do this exercise." Well, you know, "Oh no, I can't do it anymore." And he's like, "What number are you guys on?" I would yell as loud and thunderous as I could, "0!" And I broke everybody's morale so quick by doing that. It was like 20 minutes. Everybody was like quitting and breaking down. I'm just
Yeah.
internally I'm laughing because every time he asked what number we're at, I would just yell 0. And then he was like, why do you guys keep doing that? I was like, "Well, you're not gonna break me, dude." Like,
Mhm.
it's like, "So I hit muscle failure here. Whatever. You're gonna give me another exercise and hit muscle failure there."
Yeah, I never went to air assault school.
And it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
I argued too with the instructors over because like the weight limitations on the cargo hook was completely wrong. I was like, "We can't lift a Humvee." Not like
Really?
that on the new Mike model.
Can't?
No, the cargo hook had limitations.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was limited to 5,000 instead of 9.
Hmm. Why is that? They have stronger engines, right?
Yeah.
So why would they?
Well, that it's heavier as a base because they beefed up a lot of stringers and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes more sense.
Yeah, I argue.
That HER system, that new HER system, though, was just like,
It's garbage.
I look at it, I'm like, wait, what? I mean, you could have just blown the air into the rotors this whole time.
It doesn't even work.
No. The old HER system worked.
Yeah, the old HER system was amazing. The new,
You hardly see it glow.
yeah. Yeah, like the thing to worry about with the old was if I was outside of the helicopter on the gun, you would see me for sure.
Yeah.
Then you'd see my heat signature, but the helicopter now is pretty low threat.
Yeah, like if you get up close to it, like you're flying formation, stack low, stack right.
Yeah, you can see it a little bit.
You can see a little glow. And I remember, for some reason, one mission I was flying, like my aircraft was flying, but I was flying the other aircraft behind it for some
Mhm.
reason. And I was flying left seat, so I was looking at my aircraft. We went stag right. And I could see the number 1 engine, and I saw the glow disappear. They had a ship light, so
Well, that's pretty crazy.
took it offline. They just dropped. Like, there's some field, and the infantry guys we were carrying thought it was like they were giving them a ride.
Yeah.
Like, no, you guys PL'd out in the field. You're gonna have to wait because we don't have enough room to.
Yeah,
Take
take
it.
us a second to cross load and all that. And run tracks now. Yeah.
But getting back on track, college.
Yeah, so college was unique for me especially. And the amount, it's kind of disgusting the amount of anti-American propaganda that they're pushing today. Because I had a professor argue with me over why socialism was a good idea and how socialism would turn communism. Well, I basically wrote 10 pages on something that only required 250 words.
Yeah.
and explain to him what happens when you have socialism. It's going to turn into communism, and like you can borrow social programs. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you turn the country to a socialist nation, you're on the road and path to communism.
Yeah, like knowing the liberal bias that the media and the education system, when you get into higher education.
Yeah, and I don't understand how the education system sides with that liberal bias. Like just look at history, and you understand that
But it's the way they were taught. So the way they're taught, they're going to teach.
Yeah.
Oop. What that?
Just hit the.
Oh. I'll probably just end up taking them off completely. But,
all the way.
What was I going to say?
Then you said it was the way they were taught.
Oh, like my experience in college, I didn't experience all that social justice stuff. I mean, it was here, because I went to an art school, so.
I guess they just assumed everyone was.
Yeah. Like, it was funny, like, I was one of the few people there that they're like, oh yeah, that's that guy, he's that conservative guy.
Oh no.
Like, they obviously they painted me as a Republican, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not a Republican. But, okay.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to, whatever. Just, at least you acknowledge I'm not you.
Yeah. Like, I had to tell people so many times that, there are issues that I lean conservative, there are issues that I lean liberal.
Right.
But I try
That's why libertarian seems to fit me the best right now.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too is, I noticed it. This is kind of a different topic, but people are, if you say you're a Democrat, and then somebody says something against the Democratic Party, they take it personal.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, what has any political party done for me?
Yeah.
I owe them zero allegiance. And so I'm subject to take my vote where I want. And that's the way it should be.
And it's also when you're talking about, like, if you say the Democrats or the Republicans.
Yeah, the.
You're talking about.
Is it the or the? I'm trying to solve the debate we've been having for a while.
Jesus Christ. I don't know.
Maybe people could comment it's the or the.
Yeah, it depends on the situation, I guess.
Is it contextual?
Is it like then or than? So
No, that's two different.
When you're comparing two things, it's
back
than.
then. Or no, because it would be like back then, rather than.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the or the is one that's always perplexed me.
Well, I didn't major
Neither did I
in English, so I
and
have to do
I don't speak English. I don't spell color or honor with a U.
that.
I speak American.
Yeah. But I didn't see any of that big push towards leftism or social justice that you see in a lot of different videos. But I mean, granted, most of those are in like California,
Yeah.
in bigger universities. My college wasn't that big.
Yeah, because you went to just a local art school, right?
Yeah, local but national. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was another thing is financially it was tough.
Yeah, the finances.
Getting
what are you used to having that certain amount?
You count on it every month, and what was tough for me is there were quite a few months where I had to live off of a credit card because
Oh yeah.
what had happened was they couldn't retire me right then and there. Like the whole thing is they have to give it a year, see if it gets better. If it doesn't get better,
Yeah.
then they decide, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that whole year that I was in, the Army was going through all these different changes in how you have to re-enlist or extend your enlistment.
Right.
And the career guy, the guy that was in charge of the re-enlistment stuff, he really wasn't on the ball. And then
That's
I
fine.
had a TBI, so my memory was crap. So I kind of had to be up on it, and I had to keep him up on it, and I would extend my enlistment like too late or something, or he would submit it too late, and then I wouldn't get paid that next month. I wouldn't get paid, so I'd have to like live off of my credit card for that whole entire month.
Yeah, because the Army's always behind.
Yeah, and then the next month I would get double paid.
Yeah.
So I'd pay off the card and everything. But
They're so quick to take it from you.
oh yeah.
It's ridiculous.
They
That's,
are.
I mean, I had a little bit of a nest egg prepared. I was always a little bit, I guess, financially smart.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of a surprise to me getting out too. But yeah, it's nowhere near the same level of
Cushion.
cushion. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember back when I was still in, but like in the process, like they were trying to do surgeries to fix stuff or whatever. And this is before the Army would allow an amputee like me to stay in.
Yeah.
Back when I was getting out, they would allow like the guys that lost like the leg from the knee down, because that's a simple prosthetic. It doesn't really hinder a person that
Sure.
much, because your leg and your feet, your ankle is. I mean, it's complicated, but you can
make it work.
you can replicate it easily with
Yeah.
prosthetic. I mean, there was that one pilot in the regiment for the longest time. He had a fake leg.
Mm-hmm.
Every time new guys would go to that company, they'd have to drink beer out of his prosthetic leg.
Again, that's considered hazing today.
Yeah, I don't see how it is. Like, to me, back when we were in, like, I consider hazing what happened when I went through AIT. When I went through AIT in like 90, 99, there was the hazing from the Marines. It just broke out in the news, like nationwide news, with the videotapes of them giving them blood wings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was crazy. So that's what I consider hazing, was like making someone bleed, you know?
Yeah,
like
that's
type of
where it
stuff.
would be too far.
And now you can't do anything.
No, you can't. It even got to the point right before I got out where these young fuck faces would come to me and be like, give me attitude, like, all right, drop and give me, just friendly arrest, go. And you're like, you can't make me do that. What? Yeah, it says you can only make me do 10 push-ups.
Yeah.
What?
I'm like, okay.
We'll do 10, yeah.
Do 10
more,
push-ups.
yeah.
Do 10 push-ups.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're not gonna tell me, what? You're in the goddamn army, son.
Yeah.
Take a knee, face out, and drink water.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for NCOs now that are still there trying to deal with this younger generation full of, I mean, they're smarter. These kids are smarter,
Yeah.
but just, they're dumb in so many other ways.
Yeah. I think one of the big problems I saw, which is funny, like coming to the regiment when I did, and doing all the deployments and being part of the regiment when they expanded and went to brought in 4th Battalion, and there was that huge, like we were shoved, we were force
they
fed.
definitely shoved a couple of dudes in.
We were force fed guys from AIT that shouldn't have been in the unit at all.
Yeah.
When they were first giving us guys, we were kicking them all left and right. And then they're like, listen, you guys can't be kicking these guys out. Because instead of just sending them to another unit, we would just kick them out of the Army. Because they really didn't have any business
Being in the Army.
Yeah. So, DA got mad and they told us not to do it anymore. They said if you process any more guys out that we give you, then we're not going to give you guys to stand up your other battalion or whatever.
Mm.
Yeah. That's when we had very, very, very large Crampton classes come through.
Yeah.
And then with that comes, I mean, that's the reason why the big Army has all the rules they have. It's because they get whoever, and then you have a fuck up. They do something wrong. Now you gotta
Now
make a rule.
everybody has to, abide by some stupid rule.
Yeah, and that's what they did. Right, that's what happened to the regiment. Was all these guys came in, and they were doing stupid stuff, and we had to.
I mean, there was stupid stuff going on before too, because I've heard some stories about like wife swapping in the Chinook clan. But I don't know. I feel like in a small community, we should have stayed small. By growing, I think, is what is going to end up killing the regiment in the long run. They'll end up becoming just something like special operations capable. They won't be actually what they were. And then maybe one sad day the Air Force will go, hey, we can do your job.
No.
Hopefully that day never comes.
No, I don't see it happening. Like,
I mean, if they keep going down to regular Army land, it's going to probably happen. Because you still need that unit that's got the blade hours in the budget, you know?
yeah. What's funny is another Another thing I saw about getting out of the Army and transitioning into being a civilian was, especially when I stayed here in the area
Yeah.
and I'm still surrounded by active duty guys. I feel like I should still be.
Be in.
Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be an identifier that says I'm a disabled veteran, you know, kind of like in World War II, the guys that would go down and try to volunteer, they
Yeah.
were military, they would get turned away, they wore these armbands. I feel like we need something like that that says, I've actually considered having a t-shirt that says, warning, combat veteran, triggers easy,
Yeah.
you know, something like that, just like,
I would. I wish I could go back in. I mean, even,
Yeah, that's
even
another thing.
in the limited capacity that I could,
yeah.
I'd be a TI.
There was when I got out, like, I came to a point when I was like, I accepted it. I was like, okay, fuck this place, I'm out, you know, because there's plenty of bad days when you're there.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's still the Army. And then when I got out, it was like,
You missed it.
I miss it. Yeah, it was really weird. It was like, I guess I understand now what abusive couples go through when the woman's like, no, he's fine. He got a little angry. Like, I understand that mentality now. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck, the Army abused me, and I miss it.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. Every time the birds fly over the house, I'm like,
And you know what really, this was kind of stupid on my part. When I went down to Florida to work that job, and I became an isolated Night Stalker. I didn't know a single Night Stalker near me. My closest buddy lived in Tampa with a Night Stalker.
yeah.
So I was like 2.5, 3 hours away from where I was.
I was all excited. I was like, oh, wait.
Yeah, I was hoping that you would, because if you got that job, then I wouldn't be alone anymore. Because, dude, because even the Army dudes at work, oh, you're a Night Stalker? Fuck you.
Yeah.
You could have assessed too, fuckface. So it's like, I was always alone.
They didn't assess. They didn't get to experience
Yeah.
that other side. So they're hating. They're
So-
haters.
It's too easy, man. Like, it's the same thing with the people who do Stolen Valor. Just go down and sign in. It's not
Yeah.
it's not very difficult to do that. You sign one piece of paper to join. You have to sign like 50,000 to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
So it's like, just do it. Don't be mad at me because you didn't reach your full potential.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that would be my other advice to people who are in transition is keep a routine that's kind of comfortable. And I mean, if you go home, at least be around people that you can talk to. I mean, so my one cousin, he was a paramedic for a little while. And so we would trade war stories. You know, his were a lot more domestic, you know, dealing with car accidents and whatnot, but
Yeah.
he understood the mentality, so I can talk to him if I need to.
Yeah. What's funny is like when I went into the Army, you know, my dad was in the military.
Yeah.
And I thought I would be able to get insight. And I got some insight from this, but he was from a different,
But it was a different era.
way different era,
Yeah.
you know. And then when I got in, it was the be all you can be. Like my dad ended his career in the be like the beginning stages of be all
Yeah.
you can be, and I began my career at the end stages of be all you can be. So, and then with me going to aviation, and my dad being an MP,
Mhm.
there's no real.
There's no,
so
correlation you didn't fully understand, I guess.
The only advice he gave me, which actually helped me, he said, first thing you do when you get there, you go to you sign up for a sick call. You go to the doctor and you tell him you just your profile. So I used to get the bumps really bad.
Yeah. See, I used to get them too, and I tried to get a shaving profile, and they were like, no, you're white. And I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. And what's funny is, like when I first started in the military, when I got to Fort Hood, me and a bunch of guys were joking around. You know, like, yeah, you got a shared profile, man. If you just had a permanent running profile, you'd be set. And I was like, man, if I ever got a permanent running profile, what's the Army? It's get up, do some exercises, go to work,
Yeah.
come home, you know, of course, deploy, do whatever, all that stuff, right?
You'd have to ride the bike or something for the alternate swim.
No, I did the walk.
Oh, the walk.
The walk is
The walk.
hard.
I don't know, man.
It's hard.
I could walk my 2 miles
Mm.
and still be under 15 minutes.
It's 2.5. 2.5. You have to walk 2.5 miles.
And how long? 20 minutes?
No, I think it's. I forget.
I never had to give an alternate route to anybody.
It's been so long, yeah, I have no idea. But
Yeah, but I mean, shit, man, I did a 5K in like 15 minutes.
Mm.
Ran 2 miles.
Well, I also, the reason why I had a running profile is my ankle, and when it gets. What?
Hang on. It's like digging in my ear.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know, maybe I gotta tighten up shock group. I don't know.
Yeah, but the walk is pretty hard. But when I got that running profile, then I'm like, oh shit! I said if I ever got a running profile with my shaving profile, I'd stay in the Army
Forever.
for 20.
I mean, you might as well, right?
Yeah. But then shit happened, and I got retired early.
Yeah, shit happens.
Yeah.
So what other problems that we have faced when we transitioned?
Really, it's just the money issue and attitude, the different attitudes.
Different attitudes, different civilian cultures. And I think you have to prepare yourself that it's not going to be the same as when you left for the Army.
Yeah.
And like, so we're talking about this, things change. That when you go back to your family, it's not like when you're on leave visiting.
Yeah.
It's a different environment now.
The first couple of weeks feel like you're on leave.
Yeah.
Like I said, like when I was able to leave and go visit home without, I was like, oh, I'm out, but I still feel like I need to call my boss and be like, hey,
Hey, yeah. Something happened.
no, sign me out or whatever,
And that could be another thing too, is like, you always had that person, you'd be like, hey, something happened with my car, for example.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we got you back. Cool. You handle your shit.
Yeah, you get it fixed.
Yeah. When you get in the civilian world, it's like, hey, I'm sick today. Okay, you're not getting paid.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
There's no, like, do you need to go to the hospital? Do you need help? No, there's none of that. Nobody gives a fuck once you leave.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it goes back to the whole camaraderie.
They talk about the big boy program
Mm-hmm.
when you get into special operations, but then it's the real big boy program when you get out.
Yeah.
Because now,
It's like they kind of lied to us.
yeah, it's like now you have to make sure that you have a job, that you
Mhm.
have income, that you can pay your bills, that you can
That's
do
the other
this,
thing too,
do
is like,
that.
the Army at no point ever sat me down and was like, here's how you budget.
Yeah.
Here's how you pay your bills, right? I mean, I had to figure all that out on my own. I'm not saying I think the Army should teach that, but figuring out a budget is probably smart for these younger kids coming through.
Yeah.
So they get money management and they don't fall scams like, we got brand new cars here.
You want it up.
You want to know? We finance it, baby. It's
Yeah.
only 35%.
Yeah. Well, I think legally it's only like 25% that can go,
Is it the highest?
something like
I know it's different everywhere you go, but
that.
but still,
25%
that's
is,
a fuckload.
yeah.
You're gonna pay $60,000 for that $20,000 car?
Yeah.
No, man. We had a this is way off topic, but we had a dude got kicked out of regiment. This was the 3rd Battalion. Gets married to a stripper on a weekend. Doesn't tell anybody. You're supposed to notify her when you get married. I change your
Yeah.
marital status, or it's still in the barracks. His wife cleans out the bank account, steals his car, and then mails him divorce paperwork. He had some money stashed
Yeah.
up. Well, he lost his security clearance over it,
Oh, yeah?
and then he got kicked out of the regiment, and then ended up being kicked out of the Army for what he did. I was like, oh, that really sucks.
We had a kid come through, one of the kids that should never have come to the regiment in the first place. And he was weird, but that's not really the point. The point was, everyone thought he was gay,
Yeah.
and then he comes to work, he's like, I'm married. I'm like, wait, what? To who? And then the next day, like, or maybe in the afternoon, he tells her to come on, wherever he brings her on to come out. Brings her into the office, and she's already got, she's already got a kid.
Oh, so it's Insta family.
Yeah, but it was all a scam. Like, I think she called the dude her uncle, but it really wasn't her uncle. It was like her pimp, pretty much.
Yeah.
He knew the system, so what he would do is he would have his girls catch like young privates out at the club or whatever, snare them in, get married to them, and then they'd collect BH. And then what would happen is they would separate, and they would delay the process of divorce for as long as possible, because the spouse is allowed to have to receive the BH, and then
Yeah, it's
the
their
soldier,
entitlement, yeah.
the soldier just goes and lives in the barracks, you know. So that's what happened. He got kicked out.
Wow.
But yeah,
Some shady shit out there, man.
I think we've kind of exhausted
This topic?
This
Yeah,
topic?
a little bit.
That's another one.
That's a pretty good,
Yeah.
another pretty good topic.
We need to get other people on so we have other perspectives to
Yeah,
bounce off of.
other stuff to talk about. But we could go into the whole like, if you like, subscribe and all that real quick. We should have like a written statement.
Yeah.
We should write it down.
Yeah, we should write down
And then just say
the
it.
ending.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys like this,
Mm-hmm.
subscribe, like, share. We
Tell
got-
your friends.
We got a Facebook page.
We got the Instagram.
We got the Instagram,
We're on the Twitter sphere.
the Twitter, the SoundCloud.
We got all the social medias.
Not all of them, but
We got
majority
most
of
of the
them.
social medias.
Yeah, the big ones. The ones that count right now.
I don't know. Is it MySpace?
No,
Is
MySpace.
there a MySpace page? We need to get a MySpace page.
We do. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys enjoyed the other episodes we have. We also have a Patreon.
That's right, the Patreon account.
Yeah. So if you guys want to get all the extra videos, like all the tangents we go off of,
Like a lot, because two veterans
Yeah.
getting down trying to stay on topic. Oof.
we
With
try
you
to
guys.
stay on one topic, but that
Yeah.
always gets branched off into 3 or 4 other topics.
While still maintaining. We go tangent of a tangent, like tanception.
Tangent inception.
Tangent inception.
Yeah. So hit us up on all those social medias, on the Patreon page. You could be a patron for as little as $1, and you get all the extra tangents that we have. After a month, I guess we'll take those
Yeah.
tangents and release it to
The public.
But
Oh, the song's over now. We're done.
bye.
Goodbye, everybody.